So, are you trying to get shows and basically find every single venue and promoter is ignoring you? The truth is, everyone's being ignored. So why? Because when people approach the venues for a show, they're talking like a DJ when really you need to be talking more like a promoter. So what does this even mean, right? So in this video, I'm going to share with you the secret to getting shows. Now, getting shows when you first start out is going to be way more political than you think. The majority of venues are not going to book you unless they know you or they know of you. Now, to know of you means that you basically have a name, like, you know, people have seen you around, like they know you, right? Or to know you personally means you've basically been supporting their events and you're active in the local scene. Now, either way, the key word here is being active. The more active you are and the more people that have seen you around supporting their parties, the more people will want to work with you. Now, loads of people start getting discouraged by this, thinking they don't want to go clubbing every weekend, but it doesn't have to mean that. All it means is deciding what you want and identifying the kind of events and parties that you would like to be involved with. Now, in Sydney, right, I've recently experienced loads of my older students that I personally thought may not be interested in clubbing or breaking into the scene hit success on an epic scale, and they haven't worked that hard at achieving that at all. So what they've done is they've worked smart. And what I mean by this is they have identified other like-minded DJs and events that they would like to be involved with, and they've built relationships with those people through supporting their parties. Now, not only by going to their events, but also supporting the promoters' posts and being active online, they've actually built relationships with key people. Now, let's face it, if you approach a promoter for a show and the first time they ever hear from you, you are asking them for a show, they're probably just going to ignore you. So instead, when you find events that you'd like to play at, find out who runs them. And when you message them, talk honestly about their event and what you feel you can contribute. Now, personally, I have run club events for close to 20 years, and in that time, I've received thousands of applications from DJs wanting shows. But here's the thing, right? That when they approach you, they always come in with some variation of, I've done this, this, and that. Here's a copy of my mixtape, and they express an interest to play. But where they all go wrong is they don't talk about the event. So here's the thing. If some random that I've never heard of is approaching me to play, right, and I haven't heard of them, see, here's the thing. If I have heard of them, right, let's say they've got a big name, well, then it might be like, wow, they're going to add value to what I do. But if it's just some random and they're just talking about their own skills and stuff, thinking they need to prove that they're talented enough to play, but they don't talk about my party, I'm going to assume they've never been to my club. They know nothing about the culture of my events. And to put them on, that's basically going to be a big risk because they might not play to their time slot. They might not play the right kind of music. And the chances are, if I haven't heard from them, why am I going to take 40 minutes out of my day to listen to some stranger's mix, right? So what happens is that's what everyone does. They approach venues. They think it's all about talent. And yeah, talent does come into it once you're in. But to get in, if they don't know you and you haven't been to their party, I reckon they're just going to ignore you. So my advice would be 100%, when you approach the promoter, talk a little bit about their event. Now, I did a video previously on this. I think it was like approaching venues for shows, and that was part one of this really. And I might have covered some of this same kind of what I'm talking about now, but hold on, because I've got a version 2 now. And what I noticed was, version 1, the concept of it was, okay, you go, you talk up their event a little bit, and then talk about what you can do to add value. But the thing is, right, lots of my students were still getting ignored, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, okay, how can I improve this? And since this bit that I'm going to say now, it's taken off for students. People are getting more and more shows. So here's the thing. This is version 2, and the thing is, let's say then you're approaching someone for a show and you're sugarcoating some requests by talking about their venue, but if the first time they ever hear from you, you're actually asking for a show, it kind of seems a little bit like transparent. So what I think is, when you approach the venue for the first time, maybe don't ask for the show. Maybe focus on building the relationship first. And what I mean by that is, you could find even DJs that you like or people that you want to get in with, like could be venue promoters, it could be venues, could be anything. But then when you hit them up, like you message them online, but maybe then say, oh, okay, I see you're playing this weekend, or I see you've got this party on this weekend. I'm in town, I've got a group of friends and stuff. We've really been intending to come and check out your party. We'd love to come. Now, then if you go to their event, see, here's the thing. If you're just approaching them, they might actually say that anyway. They might be, I'll come to our event first. So you're beating them to the mark on that. You're just suggesting, first of all, that you want to go to their party. And trust me, right, a promoter's job, and DJ's job too for that matter, is always to kind of like build their fan bases, get new people to the events, because that's how businesses thrive. So if you're there saying you're going to come down with a group of friends, they're going to be all over that. But then when you go, yeah, support the DJs, network a little bit, and meet the person even that's, you know, that you've organized, like set up an informal meeting. So you could be like, oh, I'm going to come down, maybe we could have a beer. But just be careful. Just don't make one mistake. And that is, when you go to the events, I don't think at the events I'd start talking about, oh, can you give me shows? Because here's the thing, from being a promoter for a long time, I found being a nightclub promoter really fit it into like two main categories, like two main things that a promoter does. So number one, during the week, that's when all the admin and booking DJs and running the event kind of thing, like preparing it, promoting it, that's all where all that stuff goes down. But then at the event itself, it's kind of like rock star mode for the promoters, because here's the thing, like if they're running really successful parties, like trust me, people are coming up to them, and you know, it really does, it feels like a rock star. It's great to actually run nightclubs, and if you want to run a nightclub and know what that's all about, check out I've got some videos about that as well. But here's the thing, if people are coming up to me going, oh, can I have shows and stuff, like it kind of kills the mojo of the night. Like, you know, it's just got people coming up wanting stuff, when really I would make it more about just kind of building the relationship, enjoying yourself, having fun, showing that you're there and supporting the event without asking for something. And then once you've done that, then if you were to contact the person running the party the following week, you can talk honestly about their event, and the promoters are going to know that you're not full of it because you've actually been there already. So you can talk honestly about what they do. And here's the thing, promoters that's the people running the parties. When people are approaching them, they're probably just wanting stuff the whole time. So, oh, can I have a show? Can I have a show? And the thing is, all promoters probably have one thing in common. They're probably emotionally invested in their event. So here's the thing, if you go in and start talking about their party and acknowledging what they do, you're probably talking about their favorite subject. They're emotionally invested, there's no doubt about it. So basically now you've gone to their event, you supported their event, you're talking honestly about it. That puts you on the same page, and they are so much more likely going to want to work with you from setting up that relationship. But now just one thing, and I did mention this in the other video, but it is worth noting again, because this is probably pretty important. Like, sure, talent matters once you have your foot in the door. So to get repeat shows, you're going to want to be a talented DJ. There's no doubt about it. But to get your foot in the door, even if you've gone and supported it and stuff, I might actually, when approaching the promoter, maybe approach the elephant in the room. And here's the thing, the elephant in the room, this is it. All the promoters, right, and the people booking entertainment for the venues probably have one thing in common. They probably don't actually own the venue, right? So here's the thing, the venues are probably putting pressure on the promoters to get numbers. And how it usually works is the promoters probably get a thing called a door deal, where they get all the money off ticket sales and the venue make all the money off the drinks. Now, if the venue don't make enough money off the drinks, they put heaps of pressure on the promoters, and that pressure then, the promoters feel that, and they feel, and sometimes the venues even protect themselves and say, listen, you can run your party here, but there's a $10,000 minimum bar spend. And what that means is they expect, like, you know, the promoter running it to get enough people through the door to sell $10,000 worth of drinks. And if anything, say they run a small night and they only sell $2,000 worth of drinks, right, for the venue want you, or the promoter, to actually pay the other $8,000. Now, this isn't the DJs, this is the people running the parties. But the reason I'm sharing this is because the promoters are definitely under pressure to get numbers. And that's why sometimes finding warehouse parties and places where you can bypass the venue are really cool, because you lose that pressure and they become a little bit more authentic. But here's the thing, if you're wanting to work with venues, it's good to know what position that the promoters, the people running the parties, are in. So they're under pressure to get numbers. So what I might say is, right, when I've gone to their event, I've supported their event, I'm talking honestly about their event, but then I might be like, listen, I do understand the importance of promotion. If I'm given the opportunity to play, I'm going to do everything I can to, promote this. I've got a good network of friends. I'm really going to make an event out of this. And I feel I can add value to what you do. Now, if you start throwing around words like promotion and introducing new people, right? Then instead of being the average DJ that comes in going, me, what can I get from you? You're going in, you've already supported their party, and now you're talking about helping them to achieve their goals. And I'll be honest, DJs don't talk like that usually. They just come in, speak like DJs. What can they get? What can they get? And generally they come across as being kind of entitled, and a lot of people are kind of sick of that. So what happens is, to get in, it's probably more about community. And that means if you're going to the events that you want to be part of, and then when you turn up, you are kind of promoting the parties. And by promoting the parties, not only are you helping to spread the word about your events and using your shows as an opportunity to connect people, but you're also helping the promoter, because then the promoter's job is to get people and spread the word. And if you're helping them, then they're like, wow, this guy's a team player, and they're probably more likely going to help you. So then anyway, then you can turn up, you promote the show, and even if you've got a few people, the more people there for you, the bigger the atmosphere in the room, and the bigger the atmosphere in the room, the more people are going to take notice, and the more people that take notice, the more successful you're going to be. Now, you could also do this with DJs too to get in the network. So say you just see a DJ that you like, and this doesn't have to be the big DJs. Obviously, you need to kind of start probably in the local level, but you just find a local DJ. You're like, wow, I see you're playing, and you go and support them, you hang out, and by hanging out, before long, you can be in that circle. Now, I know this is going to sound random, but I was thinking about this just the other day. I don't know if you've seen that movie Galaxy Quest, right? Where it's like a satire of like Star Trek. And it made me think there was a guy in there that was like, crewman number 6, and he's going, I'm going to die, and all that. But to be honest, he was just hanging out with these actors, right? Or like the people, the main crew or whatever, right? And by hanging out with it, he then got included. He was in that circle just by being present, by supporting them. And I'm seeing this all the time, just by being in those inner circles, getting to know the DJs, getting to know the promoters. And it's going to be easier than you think. All it means is just taking a small effort, making the introduction. But when you make the introduction, don't make it about what you can get from them, at least straight away. Make it about how you can support them and be part of them, and what you can do to add value to what they do. Now in Sydney, the scene's been hit a little bit, and there's been these lockout laws and stuff where it's kind of like, government are coming with regulations, and it has hurt the scene in Sydney somewhat. And to be honest, but that means then every venue's a little bit desperate, and there's more opportunities for DJs than ever before, because back in the day when all the venues are packed, basically no one needed you. But these days, it's probably more about community. Like if you're actually, going to events, you're kind of like supporting the other DJs. That's what promoters are looking for. So anyway, hope this video has been helpful. I freestyled completely, went on a bit of a tangent, but I have a lot of fun doing it. So anyway, please subscribe, show your support, and thanks again for watching.